Hello everybody. Here we have mechatronics 17ME 754 and today I will be telling you something about the third module of mechatronics subject, and this would be the lecture 1. I am Dr. B. Krishna Prabhu, Professor and Head of the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Canara Engineering College. Let us just check what are the things do we have over here. In this particular module, module 3, we have to know something about programmable logic controllers, which are very famously called as PLCs. So here we basically have two sections. First one is the introduction to PLCs, under which we have to see something about the basic structure of PLC, principle of operation, and programming and concept of ladder diagram, and concept of latching and selection of a PLC as well. Then in the second part, we also have something more connected to the robotics, which is often called as the integration. So whatever we learn under PMCs, whether it is hardware or software, all of it needed to be integrated to build a mechatronic system. So under integration, first of all, the introduction and background of this one, then advanced actuators and pneumatic actuators. Then this is more about industrial robots, different parts of robot like controllers, drives, arm, end effectors, sensors, and functional requirements for building up of a robot. So this is basically a 10 hours portion that has been taught under VTU syllabus mechatronics. Okay, let us pass on to the next slide. So in this first lecture, that is lecture 1, we will be seeing a little bit about introduction of PLCs, under which the classification of computers based on the purpose for which they are used, then basic structure of PLCs, and why do we need to use PLCs in project, as well as a project in the sense student projects as well as in industries, and a few benefits of using PLCs over relay based controllers. So these are some of the aspects that we are touching in this particular lecture. So let us just start our discussion. So first of all, let us see how can we classify the computers based on the purpose for which they are used. So to be very frank with you people, we can classify the computers in many different ways. Out of like based on hardware, we can classify the computers. Based on the software that are used, that also we can classify the computer. But one of the important classification of computer is based on the purpose for which these computers are used. So when we say computers, we are actually talking about only digital computers, and we are not touching upon the analog computers, right? So based on the purpose, computers can be classified into two categories basically. First one is called as general purpose digital computers, and second one is known as special purpose digital computers. Now coming to the first part, that is general purpose digital computers, as the name suggests, first of all, these are the digital computers, right? They make use of John von Neumann's architecture. They make use of binary systems, zeros and ones. They are digital computers. At the same time, the purpose for which these computers used are general. General means we can make use of this computer for multiple applications, maybe to to prepare a project report, maybe to see a video, maybe to use YouTube, maybe to do the modeling as well, maybe to learn SolidWorks and things like that. So the purpose for which these computers used is very general. So that is why they are called as general purpose digital computers. So this is the one very important diagram that we have seen in the previous modules, which is 8085A microprocessor. So note the word microprocessor. When we say general purpose digital computers, the processing unit that is used in these kind of computers are known as microprocessors. And 8085A is one very important architecture that normally engineers learn in their basic studies, right? So coming to the modern type of general purpose digital computer, I am sure every one of us know about this one, Intel Core i10. This is the modest microprocessor that could be used in any digital computers, right? So this is the processor that is used especially when the purpose for which a computer used is very general, or general purpose digital computer. Now coming to the other side, that is special purpose digital computers. Again, these are also digital computers. They also work with John von Neumann's architecture. They also work with the zeros and ones. They make use of binary arithmetic. But the purpose for which they are used is really special purpose. They are not used for general purpose. Using this one, we cannot do multiple kind of tasks like creating a Word document, Excel sheet, now learning SolidWorks, coding Python, all this stuff, or watching a video. Those things cannot be done. But these particular digital computers are been designed in doing a special job for which they are designed. Let us see at least a few of it. Like, I'm sure you people know, this is one very important and one very famous board that especially in the arena of students, this is called Arduino board, and it makes use of a processor also. This one is the processor that is used in Arduino. This is not a general purpose digital computer, rather it is a special purpose digital computer. And the processor that is used over here is no more called as microprocessor, although its job is to process the data. Rather it is called as microcontroller. So it makes use of a microcontroller. And PLC, programmable logic controller, is a very good example for microcontrollers. So if the purpose of microcontroller is for a say small project work for the students, then the one microcontroller that is used by the students are Atmega microcontrollers, which are used in Arduino boards, right? So these are quite cheaper circuits which are available in the market. It costs somewhere between 450 rupees to 1500 rupees depending on the brand, and it is an open source device or open source microcontroller board. Okay, so then if we think of going for say a little bit powerful microcontrollers, multiple microcontrollers are available in the market, right? And for however the application of these mid-range kind of microcontroller is very limited in the industrial environment. So rather, if we go for industrial applications, now the microcontrollers, again they are special purpose computers which are quite bigger and stronger and powerful, right? One best example maybe this is the one which is called Delta microcontroller. So this is used in industries. And if we are talking about integrated industries, which are quite huge in size, then modular type of microcontrollers are also used. So this is a one example of a Siemens microcontroller, which is modular, which is very famous in industrial environment. Okay, so digital computers are widely classified based on the purpose into general purpose computers and special purpose computers. General purpose computers are called as microprocessors. i10, Intel Core i10 is an example for such a computer microprocessor. But as a special purpose computers have limited applications. They are basically designed for a special purpose and they do only that particular job for which they are designed. And something like Delta or Siemens microcontrollers are very famous PLCs used in industrial environment. So, before going further into depth, I'm sure many of you people know about Arduino. That is why we will just check up or recollect what are the things that we can learn when it comes to Arduino, and then we will generalize it to the PLCs. Now, when we say Arduino, three things are very famous in Arduino. First one is the hardware that is available. So Arduino has a very good hardware with a special purpose digital computer or a microcontroller connected to it on a development board. And second important thing needed is the software, a programming environment. Uh, in this particular programming environment, we normally write the programs in the very much similar to how we write the C programming, and this environment is normally called as IDE, Interactive Development Environment. So whatever work we expect this hardware to do, it has been explained or directed in this particular environment. And one additional thing that I have shown over here is the one very strong point about Arduino, that is it has a very big or a great community which is helpful for any programmer or anybody who is using Arduino board. Okay, so let us just see a little bit about hardware of Arduino. This is how Arduino looks when it is close by, and this is, as I already mentioned, this is the microcontroller or the so-called special purpose digital computer that is used in Arduino, and that particular microcontroller is called Atmega 328P. That is the kind of microcontroller that is used. And every microcontroller, whenever we say, it has its own technical specification, its own facilities that have been provided. Let us just see what are those facilities provided. So first of all, we have to observe that the Atmega microcontroller that we are talking about is a 28-pin microcontroller, unlike a microprocessor which is 8085, which is a 40-pin microprocessor, whereas this Atmega, which is used in Arduino board, is a 28-pin microcontroller, every pin doing its specified job as mentioned in this pinout configuration. Now coming to the specification of Arduino, it is a Atmega 328P based microcontroller, and it is a 8-bit microcontroller, right? It has a USB interface, voltage regulator, RISC at 16 megahertz with the 20 millions of instructions of processing per second, 32 KB internal flash memory, 1 kilobyte of SRAM, then 24 programmable input output channels, 6 10-bit ADC, analog to digital converters, and 6 PWM, that is pulse width modulation outputs, and 3 timer or counters. Let us just try to see what is being placed where on any hardware, and let us try to understand this one with the better. Now, so here you can see this input pins that are being provided on a Arduino board. Now, as numbered over here, it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It goes up to 13. It means that there are 0 to 13, totally 14 input output pins. Now, whenever we have a microcontroller, it is quite obvious that we have to connect other devices to this microcontroller. Then microcontroller does the processing, it produces the output. That output needed to be used for working with the other devices. Normally these devices are called as input devices and output devices. Now in previous chapters we have observed that transducers and sensors are one of the very important or some of the very important input devices that are used with any microcontroller or PLCs. So do with the Arduino. So in order to connect any sensors or actuators or any other components that are required to be connected to the board, Arduino board provides 14 input output pins. So these pins could be used as input pins, could also be used as a output pins. And whether a pin is a input pin or output pin, that needed to be described in the IDE or the program, right? Like for example, the pin number 7, if I am connecting say any sensor like ultrasound sensor, then that pin number 7 must be defined as a input pin. On the other hand, if you are connecting a say LED to pin number 13, that pin number 13 needed to be defined as a output pin, like that. So that is how programs control PLCs. Okay, so 14 input output pins are provided over here, and these 14 input output pins are continuously in communication with the microcontroller, and it keeps on, all input pins keeps on giving the input data to the microcontroller. Processes it, and the output that is produced is passed on to the output pins. That is how it works. As you people already know, 3 words that are very important in any microcontroller or microprocessor is input, process and output. Input devices are used for giving input, processing devices are microprocessors or microcontrollers or PLCs, and output devices often are actuators in this particular case, or could also be a monitor, a printer, a plotter, so on and so forth. Okay, so 14 input output pins are continuously in communication with the microcontroller. Then there are also 6 analog in pins. To these pins we can supply analog or continuous signals. Such 6 pins are provided. Digital signals cannot be provided over here. Only analog signals could be connected over here. Then there is a voltage regulator. Now normally for the functioning of this particular microcontroller or a PLC, we have to supply the power. Now in this Arduino board there are 2 ways by which we can supply the power. First one is either we can provide the required power for operation through USB interface. So there is a USB cable that comes along with this one, which could be connected to a PC, and whenever it is connected to the PC, the Arduino board absorbs the power from the or electricity from the PC. At the same time, it also be used for data transfer, right? This is the one way by which we can power up the PLC. And second way is providing a separate power supply, which is 9 volt power supply. So basically this Arduino is a 5 volt system, and we are providing 9 volt supply over here for the simple reason that this is the power source that is very widely available in the market. That is the reason why a regulation of voltage is needed. So that particular job is done by this voltage regulator, right? So basically powering up is done either through USB interface or the external 9-volt supply, and the power regulation is done by this particular regulating transistor. Okay, then next there are many other things. I will give you only a little bit of input regarding the hardware of Arduino. Then power in and power out. These are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, rather 5 different pins that are being provided, which help you either to give the power to the Arduino or take the power from Arduino. It is possible to take two voltages from Arduino. One is 3.1 volt, then we have to connect our wire to this particular pin, or we can also tap 5 volt from a Arduino board, so that we can connect this power to some other device and we can get the other devices work, right? So normally whenever we are connecting, say, very low powered motors, we can connect even a motor over here. However, motor drives are always preferred to connect motors to this one, very small DC motors to this one. Other than that one, there are two ground pins provided and one V in pin also provided. V in pin is basically to supply power to the Arduino. Whenever the power supplied is not sufficient, we can also supply the power through this particular pin. Although power that is required for the operation is taken from this USB interface or 9-volt supply, but still there is an additional provision made over here to supply the power. Okay. Other than that one, there is a reset button which whenever been pressed, the program start executing from the very beginning. And there are many other like TX, RX, transmission and receiving. So whenever the Arduino board is communicating with a computer, whenever we are trying to transfer the data, then these pins, these LEDs rather will glow over here. Then here you can see I was talking about PWM, power width, I mean pulse width modulation. So pin number 3, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11. These are the pins that are enabled with the pulse width modulation. So normally note that whenever we have a PLC, PLC standalone is never used. Just like a microprocessor always is built on a board which is very famously called as motherboard, and all these and all the other subsidiary components required for a microprocessor to work are connected or arranged in that motherboard. Maybe a math coprocessor, maybe a add-on card ports, maybe a RAM port, right? So on and so forth. All these circuits, all other subsidiary components are connected to microprocessor on a so-called motherboard. Similarly, every microcontroller has a development board, and what you are seeing over here is called a development board, on which heart of the system is this microcontroller itself. And for the operation of the microcontroller, for making use of microcontroller, we need input output pins, we need power pins, we need a USB connection, we need analog pin, we need reset, we need TX-RX, so on and so forth. All those things are connected on a board which is not called motherboard here, rather it is called a development board. So what we have seen today is what are the things that we have to cover in this particular module, that is module 3, and then how to classify the computers based on the purpose for which they are used. And to some extent we have tried to understand Arduino, which is a very famous PLC, especially for the students, where the students make use of this one in their project work. That is why I had included this particular topic over here, and we have understood, try to understand what a PLC is and what are the other components that may be required for the working of a PLC is. So that is the content of this particular lecture, lecture 1. Thank you very much for joining, and see you in lecture 2 with more details on programmable logic control. Thank you.